Today I'm sharing my top 5 favorite DIYs that I did in 2024, and I'll link the videos that they came from in the description box below. I'm so thankful that you are following along on my creative journey, and there's more coming in 2025, so be sure and stay tuned. I love to share easy DIYs, budget home decor, and all things watercolor painting. My name is Lisa, and this is Our Gray House. This video is part of a playlist, and my friends are sharing their top DIYs as well, so you know there's going to be a lot of great inspiration to take you into 2025. I'll link my co-host Katie from Lady Red Crafting because she's completely awesome, as well as the playlist because I promise you won't want to miss all the fun. Now let's get on with the video. I participated in a playlist, and part of the challenge was to incorporate a plunger into our DIY. I had a planter on hand and I was measuring to figure out how far down I would need to cut the plunger. I googled vintage scale face or something like that and I found this image and I printed it out, and then I just cut it down to size. And I'm measuring to find the center of the bottom of the plunger so I will know where to attach the plunger. I used super glue to attach it, and this is purely decorative and it won't hold anything of any real weight, so I wasn't too worried about how well it was attached. And I took some extra chipboard that I had to use as a backing for the face of the scale that I had printed out. And you could use cardboard or even poster board, and if I'd printed it out on something like cardstock, I might have been able just to skip this step. And I tried spray painting on this, but it felt tacky even after drying overnight, so I painted it. And then I used some Mod Podge on the chipboard that I'd cut out, let it dry, and then I used the heat press method to apply it. And that's just where you put Mod Podge on the item, let it dry, and then on top of it you lay down the photo or napkin or whatever you're Mod Podging, and lay down a piece of parchment paper on top of that and use the heat press or iron to reactivate the Mod Podge, and it'll secure it with 0 wrinkles. It really is my favorite way to Mod Podge things. And I attached the face of the scale to the front and I put a little wooden cube behind it so it would stand out and give it some dimension, and that's how it turned out. Super cute. This is going to be an envelope, and I cut it to the shape that I wanted out of some plywood. And if you don't have that, you could just make this out of cardboard or even use a Dollar Tree sign. And I painted it white. Now I'm painting on the red. I sketched out where the paper was so it would look like a piece of paper is popping out of the envelope. And then I thought it'd be fun to add some pink polka dots, and I used a sponge stopper that I got from the Dollar Tree. And I thought I needed more, so I took the other end of a paintbrush and I dipped it into the paint to make tiny dots all over. And then I used a black Sharpie marker to outline the envelope. And when I originally made this, I was thinking, oh, I don't want to use my good Sharpie. I mean, because I couldn't buy another one if I messed that one up. But anyways, that's what I did. And I wrote on mine, "Be Mine," and added more stuff to it. And I think this idea was in Hobby Lobby that I saw it. And it's one of those, is it cheaper to make it or buy it? And I prefer to make because I love creating, and I usually have enough supplies on hand that the cost is minimal. And I kept adding dots and stuff like that, but this is how it turned out. It's super cute and I love it. And I typically don't decorate that much using red, but this red really pops and looks adorable. I am reusing a terracotta pot, and I'm painting it in the color linen, and I'm going to paint the saucer dark brown as well as the rim of the pot. And then I'm going to use some paint pens to create a face and a little nose with an orange paint pen. And then I'm going to take a hula skirt that I got from Dollar Tree years ago, and I'm going to use that as the scarecrow stuffing. I'm hot gluing down some on the top, and I'm going to hot glue and then also use some E6000 for a more permanent hold to attach the saucer to the pot. And then I'm going to take some potpourri that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm placing it where I want it, and I'm going to individually hot glue down those pieces, but I'm not going to hot glue down the tea light just in case I need to replace it or something like that. Then it won't be hot glued in place. Anyways, this is how it turned out. I made a mini version, but you could certainly make a larger version, and that would be adorable as well. I saw this sign at Hobby Lobby online. It's 30 bucks, and the dimensions are 60 by 13. Now, if you go to Lowe's, this is where I shop mostly, there's lots of options for lumber, okay? We're trying to keep this pretty cheap. They have a reduced price lumber in the back. Theirs is 50% off. When I was at Home Depot a couple weeks back, theirs was 70% off. And so what I'm doing is I'm just searching here because there's reasonably good wood here, and at 50% off, you know. Now look, what this one's bowed, so you do have to kind of turn them and look and see if they're bowed or anything like that, just because unless you don't care. But I always suggest that you check that, so that way when you're making your signs, they're all going to fit nicer. Now I happen to have scrap fencing wood on hand. I have a little bit left, and we're going to use it for, oh, look at me just jumbling the camera around. Anyways, so I did find a piece of wood here, and it seems relatively straight. And so when I asked the guy for help on this, because, I want us to know, to be able to show you guys, see, it's relatively straight. Now, this wood is $3.45, and it is, let me see, it's only 6 foot long by 5.5 inches. So it would be a really skinny leaner if you just used one board. But if you bought two at 50% off, you're only looking at $3.45 for two boards. That'd be 11 inches across and a 6 foot leaner, not bad. And there's different ways that you could put this together, very economically, very budget friendly. But there are a lot of different options. So I always encourage you to go look through the scrap wood pile. See if you have a local fence builder that might give you some scrap pieces for free. You can also buy some online, and this one is $7.38. This one's $5.18, and this one's $3.35. You don't have to make a 6 foot sign. You don't have to make a 5 foot sign. You could make a 4 foot sign and be able to take some scrap wood like this and get one piece, cut it in half, and make yourself a decent sized sign. So that's kind of the inspiration that I'm trying to share with y'all. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. It has to, this is an inspiration to tell you you can find budget friendly stuff and really make it super cute. So I'm having to sand down my wood pieces because they are fencing material and they're really, really rough. And then I took my Cricut and I'm cutting out another stencil, and I'm just using some vinyl that I had on hand. So if you were to buy one of the least expensive pieces of wood, there was one that was $7. Well, let's see. I'm trying to think how to best advise you guys on how to find the lumber at a decent price. That $7.38 one, it was going to be 10 inches wide and 5 by 5, so it's kind of close to the inspiration piece, if you will. But they have a 5 by 11 piece. You could cut that in half and still have a decent size sign. You know what I'm saying? Because if it's 12 foot high, if you cut, or 11 foot high, if you cut in half, it's 5.5 foot. Anyway, you get the picture. So don't let oh, the wood's so expensive. It is, but you can find it very inexpensively if you look. Especially if you look in the scrap wood sections of your local home improvement store. I'm taking Waverly Wax in the color Antique. I am almost out of this particular bottle. Rest assured, I have another on hand. And I am staining the top part here with that color. And I'm kind of making a sign. It kind of evolved as I started making it. I attached the wood pieces together with another scrap piece of wood that I had. And again, they have scrap wood that they'll literally give you to you for free if you ask them, or they'll give you at a really deep discount, in addition to the ones that you saw me show you on that little palette thing. For the bottom half, I am making the stained area a little bit larger, and I'm just again staining it, painting it on, and then I take a damp scrap piece of cloth and I wipe it off. Then I take Rust-Oleum's Chalked Ultimate paint in the color Linen, and I use that little painter's tape to mark it off, so that way I don't get it all over everything, and I just paint the middle section that white color, linen color. And I'm using my favorite paper transfer tape and I've had this this stuff lasts a long time for me, but I reuse and reuse and reuse mine because girls on a budget, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to keep things inexpensive but looking high end, and so I'm using the transfer tape to transfer the vinyl stencil over. And once I got it where I want it on the sign, I'm just pulling that paper transfer tape, and like I said, I save it. You'll see me using it later. I save it, and I mean, why waste it? Now here's where I will tell you, do as I told you, not as I'm doing, because I did not put down a barrier layer of paint. Ordinarily, I would say do a coat of the base coat that you have there, which is that Rust-Oleum's Chalked Ultimate paint in the color Linen. Do a base coat of that first, then paint on your color. Lisa didn't do that. Learn from Lisa. Don't be like Lisa on this one, because you're going to see in a minute,
it don't turn out that great. I mean, it turns out fine, but you know what I'm saying? It could have turned out a lot better had I heeded my own advice. So, word to the wise, do the base layer first, kind of as a barrier layer to prevent that bleeding, and then put on your color coat. And before it completely dries, I do pull it up, and you can already see it's bled through in a lot of spots. Not just one or two, but a lot of spots. Here, let me give you a closer look. So, do you see how it's like, I mean, it's almost like, no, that's doesn't look that great at all. I mean, to me.
So even from kind of like a distance, it looks a little not neat. So I'm just going to take a small paintbrush and this little cap with some paint in it and kind of touch up the areas that need touching up.
So I fixed it enough to where I'm liking it and I'm happy with it. And then I did cut out a stencil of olive leaves, and I used my Cricut for this. And so yeah, adding it to there. And I don't have, I mean, I kind of sketched out what I wanted to do, but again, I'm also just kind of winging it and just, you know, seeing where my heart takes me on this one. And I'm taking several different shades of green paint, and I'm using that dauber brush that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just stenciling in the leaves onto this little porch leaner. I had another little stencil, and I'm going to repeat the process. I kind of let it dry a little bit, but I could have just taken it off and did that way. But anyway, I didn't. This is how I'm doing it. And so on this one though, I don't feel like I needed to do that base coat first because I don't care if it's a little messy looking. I was going to add this little wreath at the top, but once I'm done, I just felt like it looked too busy up there. I mean, I like it if I didn't put these leaves here, but I did put the leaves here, so I ended up not using that little round wreath there. And I'm just kind of laying out to see how it's going to lay out. Is it going to be like I like it? And then I just transfer that on the vinyl stencil back onto the porch leaner, and then I painted just like I did the other ones. Well, here, I guess I'm going to show you a little bit more of the process. I didn't think I left all this in there, but it actually worked out really well. The only thing that I might change would be to add a little bit more leaves towards the top, because I think it looks just a little plain with just the one leaf. But, you know, I mean, well, one vine going up, I think I would like to add another one. But it turns out so cute, and I just absolutely love it. And again, I don't have a real good price for this for you, but you could make a smaller sign for less than $5. You could make a decent sized sign for $10. Still a really good price, because look how cute this turned out. Now, I didn't count paint, I didn't count vinyl, I had all that stuff on hand, y'all, so it's really hard to know how much to add to that. But just say I added like $3 for that, you know, you could make a decent sign for $6 to $8, and you could make a larger sign for like, you know, 12 or so, 13, something like that. Didn't it turn out cute? I love it. I just really love how it turns out. This is simple enough, but it adds a nice touch to my front porch, and I'm just really, really pleased with how it all turned out. Taking a quick pause to tell you to click on the link in the description box below to take you to my Facebook group, Crafty DIYs on a Budget. Here's a really quick peek at the inspo you'll find in the group. Now go join. It's fun and it's free. Okay, back to the video. I love what I call back of the truck signs. I'm not sure the official name, but I've made several. And this one I found on Etsy. That is my inspo piece for today. And it says truck rear. So that's another option of what we can call it. I made this cute one for Halloween, and I made this one for fall. But the one I'm sharing today was an Easter project, and it turns out adorable. And I'm going to use a sign for another holiday. I'm going to use this sign I was going to use for another holiday, and I scratched that idea. But since I had the shape cut out and I try to use up my stash, I'm painting it with Rust-Oleum's chalked ultramatte paint in the color linen to redo it. And then I'm using the color called Adrift for the main color of the truck, and I really, really love this color. I painted it all around, leaving the rear window, the side windows, and the bumpers and tires white. And I also painted this tailgate piece with the Adrift color and blended in some mint as well. Then I used
For the bumper, I used Waverly chalk paint in the color Elephant, and the tires were painted black, very simple and easy to do. And the 3-carat wood pieces were from Dollar Tree, and I'm painting the lower portion with the color Pumpkin. And for the bunny, I cut the body and feet shapes out of cardboard, and I'm painting them white. And I use a small sponge dauber and some red paint and kind of twirl it around for the tail lights. And I use a chippy brush with some Parisian gray and a dry brushing technique to create a reflection for the windows. And I used several shades of green for the carrot tops. And then I took a white and silver paint pen to add some lines for the bumper, and a white paint pen to add some detail to the tires. And then I added the tire tread marks. And then I used a black paint pen to kind of outline the tail lights and really just everything. I'll outline the whole piece to add some detail to it. And then I took a brownish color to add some detail to the carrots, and I used some vivid pink to add the pad to the bunny's feet. And I used some greenery that I had on hand to add to the carrot tops, and I also wound some twine around to the part where the carrot meets the carrot top to cover that up. And then I had this jumbo white pom-pom that I'm going to use for the bunny tail, and I'm gluing down the bunny feet, and now it's time to add it all together. So I placed everything where I want it to go, and then I put a pencil mark kind of to know where I was going to put things, and then I used a combination of hot glue and E6000 to glue it all in place. And this is how it turned out. I absolutely love it. It's literally my favorite thing. So thanks y'all so much for watching my video. I'm getting close to 10K, and when I reach that milestone, I'm going to be doing a giveaway. I'd love it if you'd share my channel with your family and friends. And if you want to follow me on social media, my handle is OurGrayHouse, but just don't follow me in real life though, because that would be creepy. Bye.